Hi, everyone, and welcome to the No Dem Left Behind Town Hall. We are a coalition of candidates running in deep red, mostly rural districts, and we are so excited to have our national spokesperson, Richard Ojeda, with us tonight, as well as six-time New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and activist Chelsea Handler as our host. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Chelsea.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight. I don't know why I'm yelling. I always yell when I'm on Zoom for no reason. I want to thank Richard for reaching out to me via Twitter and asking me to host this because it's always my pleasure, to help amplify candidates for people, especially in red districts, which we can turn blue, which they have potentials to turn blue. At some point, they have to turn blue. So I'm very excited to be a part of this, and also to get to know you guys, to get to know what your platforms, what you stand for, what issues you care most about, that define your campaign the most. But obviously, first and foremost, I think we will want to talk about, I know parents, I'm not one of them, but I know all parents want to talk about the return to school in the fall. So I thought maybe we could start, we'll go around and have each candidate talk about where you're from and everything. Michael Moscato, should we start with you?
Sure, I appreciate it. Thanks, Chelsea. My name is Michael Moscato. I'm running for United States Congress in Arizona's 8th District, a district that came within 4.5% of flipping in 2018, and I'm here to finish the job. I'm a parent of a 5- and 3-year-old, 2 little boys. I'm born and raised in the district that I'm running, and I believe that the job of Congress is to represent the people of the district and not just the political party and its leadership. And there is no candidate more suited to represent this district than the one who was born and raised here. So I look forward to making history this November. And Chelsea, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. So thank you.
And what are your thoughts, Michael, about returning to school in the fall? What are your feelings about that? And what is not being done that could possibly be done in this moment to prepare us for that?
Well, aside from everything not being done, I can start with the fact that I'm in Arizona, a state that's historically 48th in the country in education, and now all of a sudden, the same people who are trying to defund our public education want all of us parents to use our children and ourselves and our teachers as experiments during the middle of a pandemic. I'm a business owner. I understand everyone wants to get back to normality. I understand that we want to get back to work, but I also understand that we need procedures and things in place. I'll give you an example. We have professional athletes making millions of dollars that are getting rapid tested every single day. They're within a bubble. And now we're gonna put parents and teachers and children with a thermometer and hope that that's the only sign that we're gonna catch. We need leadership and we need the direction, and that's what we don't have, most importantly.
Great. Richard, should we go over to you?
Oh, no. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that when I do this, that lets them know they've hit the 1-minute mark. We got 3 panels we got to do.
Raising your hand to ask a question. I was like, what's that?
I'll do my airborne operation. 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, let's move over to you, Mia Mason. Nice to meet you.
Pleased to meet you, Chelsea. It's a delight to be with you. I'm an LGBT candidate out here in Maryland's 1st Congressional District, a rural red district on the shore. It's the size of 2 Delawares. If you've ever been out here, it's the beautiful hills all the way down till you get to the beach, but it's a red district. We're trying to make it blue. And you know what? I'm the first trans woman who has won a congressional district. And I'm looking to go to Congress. And I hope to make that happen. We've seen a voter increase of 23%, and we're at a 19-point loss, but anything is possible if we put our faith into it this November.
Yeah, I always say to everybody, when anybody says, oh, that's a red district, you can't flip it blue. I'm like, listen, Donald Trump is the president. Anything is possible.
Turn on. Ready to fair. Paired.
Okay, so Tom, let's go over to you. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
And yeah, just a little bit about our district. So I'm Tom Palzowitz. I'm running in Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District, it includes crucial Waukesha County, which is in between Milwaukee and Madison. And I think that the biggest challenge flipping a red district to a blue district is convincing people that there are good ideas that aren't necessarily within the bubble of the things that they hear. And I literally got off the phone about a half an hour ago with one of our superintendents in our local area, and he just said if people just wore masks and decided to not take vacations with their children from about the middle of August on, they would have a high probability of being able to reopen schools. But he's fighting up. He's not only fighting to create an opportunity for the school systems to open, but he's also fighting the local community. And he views it as crazy. And he really wishes that a lot of the Republicans and conservatives would just get on board with, let's actually do something about this to increase the ability for the economy to grow.
Okay, great. And Mia, I'm sorry, I wanted to go back to you about the reopening of schools because I didn't finish. Sorry, I went over to Tom. What's your stance on that? And what do you feel like is the safest way for us to accomplish that, given like our current circumstances?
Well, in our current circumstances, I think some of the places in our areas are trying to do a hybrid approach, and some have just decided it's safer to do a virtual all hands on deck. This is the way we have to do it. It's what we're used to right now, because our families are deciding on, can I keep a job? Can I afford health care? Can I afford, child care? Can I afford sending my kid to school? Or should I just do this at home? These are the decisions they're facing with, and the leadership doesn't have a plan. And they're not making a plan. They're not even helping with our elections. They're just hands off. And we've presented our plans and they've disagreed with us.
Yeah, I mean, it's really frustrating process to watch as somebody who's not in government or, holding or running for a political office. So I can only imagine how frustrating it must be for people who are working in government and have to come up against this. And so we all appreciate your desire to run in the first place. Okay, so Dr. Cindy Beignet, did I say that right, Beignet?
Yeah, beignet. I actually like the way you said it better because that's like beignets in New Orleans, which are delicious, but I'm just as sweet. Anyway, so my name is Dr. Cindy Beignet, and I am a candidate for Congress in Florida Congressional District 19, that's Southwest Florida, Fort Myers and Naples area. I'm a mom and small business owner, and I'm fighting for our water, our health, and our community. And I am running to be the servant leader that the people of Southwest Florida deserve. For years, I've worked with nonprofits across our region, hundreds of organizations, and convened thousands of people. And as a researcher, I would write reports and take those reports to our leaders, our officials, foundation presidents, and let them know this is what the people want and need. And they would just pat me on the head and say thanks and not do anything about it. So that's what really is compelling me to run, to listen to the people and do what they want and be their true servant leader to make a Southwest Florida where the sun shines on everyone.
Yeah, I think that a lot for candidates, when we're looking for candidates, you want somebody who also reflects your values and the ability that your values are going to be able to, not your values, but your political stances on your values are going to be able to shift with the times and be a reflection of, what's happening in our country, the inclusivity rather than the exclusivity, and actually showing, Cuomo's been a great leader with everything he's done in New York, like being a real leader and showing other states how it's done. This is how we do police reform. Now you do it, So it's very inspiring, and you can see that people do lead when they lead well. People are really dehydrated for a leader. So can you tell us a little bit? Let's go around again, Michael. We'll go start with you again. Oh, no, sorry, Dr. Cindy.
I'm like, I want to get in on the education one. Oh my gosh, because I'm a mom of 3. Okay, I have 2 public school kids, and then I have a toddler who's in the vulnerable population. She had a rare blood disease and respiratory failure already. So if she gets coronavirus, we're in trouble. And so when I think about what's happening with the education reopening right now, this is what I have to say. Fuck you, Donald Trump, for strong-arming states to opening schools. Fuck you, Betsy DeVos, for threatening them to lose their funding. I'm sitting here in Southwest Florida watching our school district scramble to serve our kids. We have educators panicking on this side. We have parents panicking on this side because there is no right answer. There's a school group at my kid's school of teachers who are saying this is an impossible task. And I'm also working to help coordinate a group of parents who are saying, virtual education is an impossible task. We need help. And so I really want leadership, and we don't have it now, and we need it more than ever. So you're absolutely right on that.
Hey, Chelsea, if I can jump on here real quick also, I think one thing that a lot of people are not talking about, everybody keeps talking about sending these kids to school. And of course, people are saying, well, the kids are young, it's not really a hazard for the youth. But the truth is that the population in terms of age with our teachers is up there. So, what's going to happen when our teachers that are supposed to be educating our kids start dropping like flies because we are pushing them back to school and requiring them to be in the classroom? So that's something that I think everybody should be absolutely focused on as well. So
also teachers and our healthcare workers, what we're asking of our healthcare workers is unacceptable. We're not protecting them, and it's like, screw you, we're going to do whatever we want, and then you can deal with us later. I mean, that's not acceptable. We put these people and teachers in the most precarious, positions. And I think all Democrats are looking for legislation to move forward to protect all of these marginalized groups and really have initiatives that reflect that. So Michael, why don't you tell me a little bit more about, pick a topic that you're passionate about or one of your platforms that you want to tell people about, why they should care, why they should vote for you.
There we go. Thank you. Admin mute there. Being born and raised here in Arizona, one of the biggest issues that has been here, it's been a political wedge issue ever since I was born, is immigration. We need immigration reform. The solution to a lot of our problems with the economy, with national security, with funding for things like education and healthcare and Social Security, we can accomplish a lot of that stuff by providing immigration reform. I know for a fact, being here, that wall, number one, it's a lie. When he talks about that he's put up 200 miles of wall, he hasn't. He's put up maybe 3. And we watch people cut through it with a $100 battery operated saw, climb over it in 45 seconds, tunnel underneath it. It doesn't do anything. We need funding for case officials, Border Patrol agents, healthcare workers, judges. FYI, for all these people who see the congregation of immigrants coming for a better life, they're coming to ports of entry. That is exactly what they're supposed to do. And if we provide a system that is actually functional, we can strengthen our United States and make this country the world leader that it should be in not only economics, but morality and humanity once again.
Great, thank you. Mia, over to you. What do you feel most passionately about?
Well, I've been disadvantaged by a lot in our healthcare. It's something that I felt that has happened across our country. I went to the Women's March and spoke about it, and it's being felt in our district as well. It's one of those things that, like I said, our communities are being felt hard about this. They're making a decision like, should I pay for it? We need Medicare for all. It is something that we should have as a human right to make sure that everybody has it, no matter who it is going to cover in your family. It must be affordable. It has to be at a price point. And I'm talking something that is like $600 per year for a whole family. That seems economical to me, especially when it comes to healthcare, especially when it wants to be able to lower your prescription drugs that you need to keep you alive, regardless of the disability that you might have. That's what I'm super passionate about, so that you don't end up with a huge medical bill that is thousands of dollars or $160,000. That is what will need to happen once we're in Congress. Thank you, Chelsea.
Great, thank you, Mia. It was really nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Tom, over to you.
Yeah, the way I think about the conversation we're having about schools is really a microcosm of the economy. Really looking at, sending people back to a situation is a lot like what we're going to have to do to get people back to work. And just the income inequalities that are being exacerbated by this pandemic are really showing up not only in school systems, because I talked a little bit about the school system I'm in. There's no way that some other school districts can even come close to a plan that's being created. And that's true for business also. And one of the reasons why the stock market is doing so well is these larger companies are gobbling up market share from hundreds of thousands of small businesses across the country, and we're just allowing it to happen. And that, to me, it just has to stop. And then back to Mia's point, it's really about universal health care. If we create universal health care, it's going to allow people to start their own businesses, do more job portability. So all these issues are connected, and I'm just going to throw climate crisis in there also, because as we reopen the economy, we have to do it in a way that makes sense in the way that we're using energy. So we can't just pick and choose what these issues are. We got to bring them all together, and there has to be some kind of plan, and that's what we're lacking in this country right now. We don't have a plan. We're not interested in creating a plan, so we're completely reactive, and we wake up every morning to whatever tweet of the day is, and we go from there. And that just has to stop, and that has to change.
That's why I tried to change it up, you guys, the other day. I tweeted my Ivanka Trump Goya picture to just switch things up so we could have something fun instead of something grim.
Yes.
Oh, do you have, yeah, Rosarita, that was good. Or besides beans, what are you passionate about mostly? What are you
I
most
do love
passionate
beans.
about?
So I also approve of satire and good jokes. So what I'm really passionate about is being the most qualified candidate and committed candidate in my district. We have a whole bunch of people that have a history of buying this seat. We have a dude that runs Dunkin' Donuts who's just throwing money down the drain to win this seat. And currently our rep is, sipping margaritas on the beach in the Bahamas and hasn't voted in 6 months. We've been without leadership. And that really pains me a lot. I have worked in the field of public administration and governance around the world. I've researched on the best way governments can be designed to serve people. We need that in Congress more than anything right now. So I'm bringing those technical skills with me. I've been teaching American government, teaching global studies. I'm taking those things with me to Congress. I am also somebody who's not a bully or not going to take anything from the bullies. I'm a former professional boxer. So I use that bit of moxie that I have to get into the ring, to scrum around with people. I'm not going to let these Republicans come in and scare me. And I think that's what's going to really help me win this district. And I am really just passionate about taking that and serving the people of my district and making the government work for the people.
It'd be great if we could just turn Florida a little bit more blue, right? Just a touch. That would be exciting.
Well, real quick, I just want to hop on here. We're getting ready to switch to the next panel. I'm sure everybody here is absolutely just so appreciative of you taking the time here, Chelsea. I mean, this is a phenomenal topic. I mean, right now we're pushing, they're going to push people to school. And this is definitely what needs to be, on the tongues of every single one of our candidates when they're speaking to their constituents. So for the guys here in this group here, obviously, I'm sure thumbs up. Thank you, to Chelsea. And then here in about, we'll let you speak a few more words there, and then we'll flip it to the next crew, Chelsea.
Okay, well, I just want to say it was a pleasure to meet all of you, and I'm very much looking forward to voting in 2018 November, and every single time I have to vote after that. But I applaud your effort to run, and it's really important that we see, reflections in the trans community, that we see leaders that are trans. We have to really be mindful in this moment to actually take this country, forward, instead of having this huge social justice movement for Black people and then, deserting them again, and having this movement having to happen again and again. It's like, I want to be part of the generation that said no more. So yeah, it was a pleasure to meet all you guys, and I look forward to following you more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Switch it out. Are we going out? Okay, thanks.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello. I think we're waiting on a couple. I see Adam. I see Alan. Hi, Natalie.
Let me
Hello.
know when you're ready so I can turn the live feed back on.
Dr. Gary Wegman, I see you. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. How is everyone doing today?
Excellent.
Great. Well, it's nice to meet all of you. I want to give you all some time. I'm just going to kind of go around the room and give you some time to introduce yourself and talk about your district. And then we can get into some more questions about the current state of affairs. Adam, let's start with you, Adam Christensen.
Hey everybody, my name is Adam Christensen. I am 26 years old, running in North Central Florida. Our campaign is really focused on being able to solve the biggest issues that we've had our entire lives. Because honestly, most of us don't feel like we have a choice. We have to fix things very quickly. So our campaign has 50 people under the age of 26, really focused on organizing North Central Florida, because if we flip North Central Florida blue, Florida flips blue. And so at the end of the day, that is what we're really trying to do. We're partnering with house races. We are partnering with building as big of coalitions as we can, and really focusing on the fact that people matter more than profits, matter more than money. And we're tired of people being preyed on and taken advantage of. And so at the end of the day, that's really why I'm running. I have a business. It's focused on catching fraud. I started straight out of college, and I feel like a little bit of this needs to happen in Washington.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, let's go to Dr. Gary Wegman. Hi.
Hi, Chelsea. Thank you very much for hosting us this evening. My name is Gary Wegman, and I'm running in the 9th District in Pennsylvania, which is kind of East Central PA. I'm a 36-year practicing dentist and a 5th-generation farmer. In our 9th District, we're all coming from rural communities, but the 9th in Pennsylvania has the largest industry being agriculture. As a 5th-generation farmer, I know that the problems our small business farmers are having, and their biggest issue is healthcare, which I've been immersed in for 36 years in my private dental practice. Unfortunately, our leaders in Washington, or so-called leaders in Washington, have not repaired and reformed our healthcare system. We know it's too expensive. We know there's not enough access to it, and we know how to fix it. We just need to have people willing to work across the aisle and come up with solutions that are real, solutions that are based on good ideas. And I think we can do this, but we need to reach out to everybody in the 9th District. And that's why my broad-based campaign has tried to do over the past year that I've been on the campaign trail.
Great, nice to meet you, Dr. Wegman. Okay, Natalie Klein. Clean? Am I saying it right? Clean.
Klein.
Great. Natalie Klein, nice to meet you. How are you?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this. I'm great. This is amazing. I'm Natalie Klein, and I'm running in West Virginia's 1st Congressional District. West Virginia, yes, props. Thank you, Richard. West Virginia, absolutely. So West Virginia has historically been Democratic. It's only been in recent years that we have flipped to a red state. And honestly, at our roots, our values, our identity is Democratic. We are the state that seceded from Virginia for civil rights. We are the state that brought this nation unions when we fought at the Battle of Blair Mountain. And Richard knows this next one better than anybody else. We are the state that inspired teacher strikes across this country, very much thanks to Richard Ojeda here. So we are going to rise again, because at our values, our roots, our identity, we're all Democratic. Thank you for hosting us tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. So nice to meet you. Hi, Alan Ellison.
Hi, Chelsea. How are you doing today?
Great, thank you. Tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Alan Ellison, and I'm running for the United States House of Representatives to represent Florida's 17th Congressional District. And the thing about this campaign is that we are building a movement. We're building a movement because our message is transcending party lines. Democrats, independents, and Republicans are getting on board because our message is centered around improving the quality of life for everyone, not just a special few or just people for our party, but for everyone. And when we look around our district, we notice that there are a very diverse group of people that need attention. People have been overlooked. They have been discounted, disregarded, and I'm going to be the champion to represent their interests. Right now, we have 23 veterans that are committing suicide a day in this country, and most of which are in Florida, and the numbers have gone up since COVID. We have people that are suffering from disabilities, can't get access to health care. And we just have a whole lot going on, and I'm sure we're going to get a chance to talk about some of this. But for so long, we haven't had a true representative to represent their interests, and that's going to change. I'm the Democratic nominee looking to unseat one of Trump's allies, and we're going to make him a one-hit wonder this year.
That's the spirit. There we go. Okay, so let's talk like voting in times of COVID, and let's talk about personally what your campaigns are doing to ensure that people have a safe voting experience if they do choose to go in person and vote, and what your mail-in situation is, and you know, generally how that's kind of disrupting your campaign, or if it is. Adam, let's start with you.
Yeah, so we've had to switch really since the beginning of COVID to an almost completely digital online platform. And I know that a lot of candidates have had to do the same thing. For us, it's been a lot of fun, pretty easy, simply because we have so many people who grew up and that's all that they've done is digital organizing. And so for us, we've modified the way that we do canvassing. So for instance, we will drive down in the neighborhood, call the person that we believe that we want to canvass. And if they pick up, we talk to them. If they don't, we drop off literature at their door, obviously wearing masks, obviously, you know, taking the proper precautions, gloves, everything like that. And so for a lot of candidates, it's finding the right balance of still being able to talk to people, still being able to connect emotionally and in every single way that we would have to do anyway, but making sure that people are safe, making sure that we are showing that if you are going to, if we're going to represent you and you're going to elect us, we're still going to have your best interests at heart. Because right now, most of the people that we are running against on the Republican side, they're not doing that. And so we even have in our debates, we are seeing it where they are flaunting mask regulations, and they are basically trying to downplay everything to benefit their campaign. So we have to be very aware of that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Dr. Wegman, let's talk about your campaign and your district and voting. What's the situation there?
Well, fortunately in Pennsylvania, Chelsea, the state legislature passed an act last year before COVID-19 pandemic struck that empowered people to be able to vote from home as a no-fault right. Now, we have a much older population in the 9th district, and these people need the ability to fill out their ballots at home, and they really took advantage of it. We had a 3-to-1 Democrat to Republican voter advantage of people who requested mail-in ballots. My campaign went out of its way to empower people, to help them get registered, to help them apply either through the mail or online for their mail-in ballots. And we really turned out, doubled in the primary election, the number of Democratic voters in 2020 from what we had in 2018. So I'm real pleased with my Democratic partners, and we're hoping to flip a lot of our moderate and independent voters to come our way in the upcoming general election.
And you two must have turned your campaign completely digital, right? I mean, there's really...
Absolutely. We reached out to people, tried to hit them where they are. And you know, we don't have a lot of broadband connectivity in some of our more distant areas in our counties. So we went on phone banking, we did texting, we emailed, we had virtual live events on social media, on Facebook, and wherever. We wanted our public to be able to learn what the Gary Wegman campaign is all about, how we're advocating to fix their healthcare situation in the next Congress in 117.
Great, thank you. Natalie Klein.
So we switched to a virtual platform overnight. That was the hardest adjustment. It wasn't necessarily switching virtual, it was not being able to be in person anymore. At the beginning of the year, we started our 20 county tour. We have 20 counties in the 1st district, and we were hosting 2 to 3 town halls every single week in all of these different counties, because I truly believe that people deserve to be able to speak to their candidate face to face. So that was the hardest adjustment. It wasn't that we were able to switch to the virtual platform. It was the fact that I wasn't able to be face to face with voters. And it was, No Dem Left Behind and a few other groups and some other candidates and our local county groups that have been wonderful at making sure that we're continuing the dialogue and engaging voters, live streaming to get our message out there. But I do believe in my heart of hearts that people deserve to be able to speak to their candidate face to face, which is something that the incumbent has not done in over 10 years. So
well, now
I
he
think
doesn't have to anymore. So there you go.
yeah, I mean, this is old hat to him, I guess. But yeah, if you're not taking the time to actually listen to your voters, then what are you even doing?
I also think it's a huge opportunity for all of our listeners who are even here right now. Like we don't get this time, obviously. It's a great opportunity to learn about people. You can hop on Zooms for 30 minutes and learn about candidates and hop off without having to interact at all. In some ways, it's more beneficial for potential voters to not have to do the legwork so much as to just kind of be able to sit down and be like, okay, my kids are in the background and I can listen to you guys talk about your platforms. Okay, over to you, Alan Ellison. Talk to us about voting and COVID.
Yeah, I think the Florida Democratic Party for working very diligently to increase registered voters from 2018 to 2020 to the tune of 5 million new registered voters, and we're actually outpacing Republicans 3-1. So that's going to be very helpful throughout our race. Also, we're now the largest Democratic Party in the country. So that's very good. And I'm also thankful for No Dem Left Behind for allowing us to use this platform to continue to reach more people, to bring in the support that we need, because the two hardest things that we've had to deal with since COVID, one is fundraising. It's very difficult to ask people for money for your campaign when they're literally sick of COVID, dying, as well as people are out of work. I mean, we have some of the highest unemployment numbers since COVID than we've seen in a very long time. So people don't have the resources to donate to the campaign. And then the other thing is not being able to go face to face, like Natalie was saying. It is very difficult to put yourself, if you care about people, it's very difficult to put yourself in front of people and expose yourself, your family, their families, and potentially cause danger to their lives and their health. So, we've had to switch digital. That wasn't a major adjustment, but it's something that we had to do. And we're just thankful that we have you, Richard, and people like you to help us to do this. So thank you.
Hey, Chelsea, if I can hop in here also, one of the things that we have spoke about in past town halls is the ability to use social media and go out and be open with the people, create a two-way line of communication, because you know what, their opponents don't do that, because their opponents don't want to answer the questions because they know that they don't have the proper answers. So you're absolutely right with the Zoom meetings and things like that. Two-way line of communication, people respect that greatly.
Yeah, and it's a blessing in disguise, these digital times, like we all had to kind of catch up at some point, and now we're being forced to catch up, and if you're not down with social media, then it's like you're out. So it's a great way also, like quick hits is like a great way for young people are always on their phones. I mean, we know that, my 3 nieces and nephews stayed with me for 2 months. They didn't watch one thing on television. Everything they watch on their phone. And I'm like, oh, what a huge opportunity for candidates, because that's how you get them, So there are downsides, obviously, but I think there probably are some upsides that maybe we're not considering or we should consider, or you are considering, whatever. Alan, tell me a little bit more about why you decided to run. Like, was there a moment, or is there something that you feel that you are made to go to Washington and fight for your district?
There are a lot of reasons that I'm running. One is because my spiritual gift is the gift of helping others. And I'm all about figuring out ways how to maximize my gift. And so I couldn't think of a better way than to run for Congress and utilize the skills that I've acquired in my educational experience as a political scientist, as a cosmetologist, a barber, to be able to write policy and literally affect positive change for people across the country. For me, it's the best way to do it. And then the other thing is, every time I look around and I see people hurting and I see people taken advantage of, disregarded, overlooked, underrepresented, I know that I've made the right choice to be in Congress to represent all people and improve the quality of their life.
Yeah, I think also it's nice to be reminded of why people run for office, because when you look at, you know, the faces that come back to us from Congress, you're like, and why are there 85-year-old white men deciding what's going to happen for the rest of my life? It's not, I'm not down with that. You know, I'm not down with it for the future. So Natalie, what makes you want to represent, you know, your district in Washington?
My son did. So we moved back to West Virginia. My husband and I are both native West Virginians. We both grew up in this district down the street from Grandma, and really enjoyed the West Virginia culture that we grew up with here in the 80s. We were living in the DC metro region when our son was born. He was 2 when we chose to move back here. We wanted to raise him in that same culture and have those same experiences that we had. But as soon as we got back, I mean, it was just evident that even though we'd only been gone a few years, so much had really changed. And we're living at the epicenter of the opioid epidemic. And how am I supposed to look my son in the eyes when he's a teenager and say, I chose to bring you back here, but I didn't want to do anything about it? And I don't see our representatives doing anything about it. I see them helping CEOs who, you know, run pharmaceutical companies and hospitals. We've had 4 medical facilities close in the last 9 months in this district alone, all owned by the same company, purchased for cheap, stripped from profits, and then hiding behind corporate loopholes. There's not been any proposed legislation to stop this from happening in the future. So we want to actually help the victims of the opioid epidemic, and the biggest victims of all, our child victims of this epidemic.
Yeah, children seem to be the biggest victims of a lot of things in this country. It doesn't feel fair that we're not fighting harder for our children. Dr. Wegman, what about you?
Thank you, Chelsea. I'm running against an opponent who has sided with the political elites at every turn. He's only interested in pushing Donald Trump's agenda, not doing what's in the best interest of all of his constituents. Just last week, he said on record that he thinks his last 2 years in Congress were a waste of time. He's the 12th most absent among House freshmen. There's not a single policy on his webpage, and he has never done one live town hall. I even put on my Facebook page a photo of 5 congressmen walking into Congress, and he was one of them without a mask on. Talk about leadership by example. So what I'm doing is to make sure that the people of the 9th district will have someone in Washington who cares. I've had a full career as a medical professional. I understand the healthcare system inside and out. We're paying too much for the care we have, and it's not of sufficient quality. People should care about what I'm doing because I care about their concerns, and I know how to help. And it's obvious our current representative either doesn't know what to do or he just doesn't care.
Okay, thank you very much. Adam, over to you.
Thanks. You know, the reason that I'm running is because the only world that I've really ever known, the only economy that I've ever known was what happened in 2008.
I think your volume is a little bit compromised there.
Not working?
Yeah, is that better, Richard?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay.
You can hear it now?
Yeah.
The reason that I'm running at the end of the day,
Nope. It's like you're turning yourself down and then you're turning yourself back up.
Is that better?
That's better.
Yeah.
You got 40 seconds.
Okay. The reason that I'm running is because I've never.
Nope.
So much for a digital campaign. What are we gonna do, guys?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that working better?
That's good. There you go. There you go.
Okay. The reason that I am running for office is because I've never known a world that actually really worked. The only world that I've known is post 2008, where we took money from normal people and we gave it to some of the biggest companies in the world. We made it so that normal people could not survive. 2 years ago, what happened in Parkland
showed us that there is power in organizing. There is power in people who didn't think they had power before. And what has to happen is we have to have a movement of people across the United States that says we are sick and tired of being taken advantage of. We are sick and tired of being treated like our lives don't matter. And so for me, that's the world I've grown up in, and that's not the world that I want to give to my kids. And so that is why I'm running.
Okay, everybody, we're going to switch over to the last group. Once again, I'm sure, Chelsea, everybody here is definitely appreciative of your time. You are phenomenal.
It's nice to meet everybody. Good luck with everything. We'll be following you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're clear. You can switch.
Where are you in West Virginia, Richard?
Yes, I am.
What's happening over there?
You know, it's tough. It's always tough in West Virginia.
Oh, I know.
It seems like
I know.
every day's a fist fight in the 3rd district.
Hi, guys. Hello, gentlemen. Nice to meet you, Rob Anderson and Devin Pandy. I'm Chelsea. Oh, I think your volume is off.
And there we go. Hey, Chelsea.
Hi.
Hey, Richard.
What's up, brother?
Hi there, Rob. How are you?
Right now we're 2/3 of the Brady Bunch, so we got
Here
4
we go.
squares.
There's a story. Look, I have like the Brady Bunch back there too, a little bit. Devin, you're in Georgia. Yeah? You're staying safe down there? I mean, I'm in California, so it's the same situation. I think your volume is still off, so it's how does he
Devin, your phone.
the mute button, right? Webcam.
There we go. All right. You can hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Great.
asking you how it's going down there in Georgia.
It's going. We're trying to survive the apocalypse, but we got some people that apparently want to be what do you call those things that walk around and they're
Zombies.
anyway.
Something.
There you go. Thank you very much. Yes.
I would like my congressional candidates or future congressional candidates to pass legislation for that says now that we know what happens with the pandemic, and for any governor who's been on the record and prohibited his constituents from wearing protection should be convicted of war crimes. It is despicable that these governors won't tell people to put a mask on their face. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people are looking for ways to never ever let this situation happen again, and are looking for candidates who are gonna A, put out this fire, and B, be able to like go to Washington and bring something to the table. Like, what do you have to bring to the table? Why do you think that you're a good representation of your district? And what do you think what do you think you're going to bring that another person would not? Let's start with, we'll wait for our next candidates because they can just jump in, right, Richard? No point in waiting. All right, Rob, let's start with you.
We have one that's having some technical difficulties, but they're trying to get it on.
Okay.
Y'all can hear me all right?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, as you said, I'm Rob Anderson. I'm in Southwest Louisiana. That's not the vomit in the street part of Louisiana. That's the pee off the porch part of Louisiana. And I'm talking the front porch. We're in the rural areas. Lake Charles, Lafayette, all that is down my area. Oil and gas is the big industry down here, of course. 25% of the country's petro products flow through our district, and all the money keeps flowing because it doesn't stay here in the working class district. So the reason I'm running is I'm from the working class. I'm a former driller, former home builder, former construction worker, former concrete guy who happened to have read a whole lot of books. So once I saw a couple years ago all the corruption in politics, I figured you just needed a do-it-yourself kind of guy to get up there and run against. We have, I don't know if you've heard of the incumbent down here is Clay Higgins, the Cajun John Wayne, who was fired twice from police departments for being a corrupt cop, and then he got, he failed upward to Congress. So we need representation of somebody who's really from the people, and that's why I'm running.
Great. It's very nice to meet you. Devin, tell everybody about yourself.
Well, first, thank you so much, Chelsea, for being here, for hosting for us. We so appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, so I am an immigrant. I immigrated here with my parents and my older brother when I was an infant, and I pretty much lived the American dream. We came here as immigrants. We were poor. My mother was the only one with the job. She was a secretary in New York City. My dad was finally able to join the army in 1979. 1981, we became naturalized citizens, and we built from there. My father spent 20 years in the army. He raised us to be very, very patriotic. And I mean, name another family that you can see where the young kids are standing there watching the Braves baseball game, and at the beginning of the game, when they play the national anthem, we're standing in our living room with our hands over our hearts for the national anthem. My father was a very, very proud American, and so am I. So I joined the Army straight out of high school. I retired for 21 years, after 21 years. And I was very comfortable living the retired life. I didn't get another job. So I've been living off of my retirement. I'm 100% disabled. So I was very happy just living a very solemn life. And then Donald Trump was elected president. And then I was sitting watching the impeachment hearings, and here's Doug Collins, the representative of the 9th District in Georgia, shamelessly attacking patriots and heroes and protecting Donald Trump. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And I told my fiance that night that I wanted to get involved in politics, maybe not necessarily run, but support someone who is running against Doug Collins. And the very next day, some people approached me and asked me if I would run. Took it as a sign, and I've been running ever since. And I'm going to keep on running until I get to Congress, replace this current representative, and make sure that the people of the mighty 9th District in Georgia absolutely have the representative that they need to live decent, respectable lives, instead of having to worry about the next person not wearing a mask and putting you at risk, So I'm very, very passionate and very charged up about representing this great district.
And with the 9th District of Georgia, what does that encompass?
That is the 20 counties in Northeast Georgia.
Okay.
We are the northeastern rural part of Georgia.
Okay, great. Well, it's great to meet both of you. So how have your campaigns been impacted by COVID? Obviously, everyone's had to make a pivot digitally, right? So have you found advantages to that in connecting with people? Rob, let's start with you.
Yeah, there is an advantage in that obviously you can do some campaigning from your living room, or in this case, the office. Disadvantages obviously is most politics, and it's meeting people. And even like we're doing now, I'm meeting Chelsea Handler, and I'm very excited, but we're thousands of miles apart. And in politics, a lot of people really, the handshake really is what seals that personal bond, where even if they don't agree with you on everything, they've met you and they feel your presence. So that part is missing. On the other hand, we have to look out for public safety. Our own congressman is one of those who showed up on the Hill without wearing a mask and is actively telling his constituents that it's somehow dehumanizing the face of God to wear a mask. He's actively campaigning against it. He's what's the word for that? He's a loon. So we are pushing public safety in practice and in message. And so we adapt like everybody else. More Zoom calls, more webinars, more fun.
How are the voting rights in your district, and how are the voting polls in your district?
I don't follow what you mean. The voting rights?
there a lot of voter suppression in your district? Do you
Oh,
have a
yeah,
lot of
this is
polling
Louisiana.
places in your
Yeah,
district?
this is Louisiana. This is where we invented that sort of thing. You're welcome. Yeah, there is a lot of voter suppression. There is a lot of voter suppression down here. The old-fashioned tactics. One of the people on my team, who's an African-American man, told me of the tactic where they just park a sheriff's deputy near a pole. Now, he's not standing and blocking it, but he's just standing there to intimidate. A lot of our minority population, of course, has been, run through the ringer by the legal system for any excuse whatsoever. And just seeing a police officer standing outside of a polling place makes them kind of back away from it. So yeah, we are gerrymandered. Of course, they carved off this section of lower Louisiana, which is 25% minority. But I can't tell you, I don't think we've ever had a minority representative in our district.
Hey, Chelsea, if I can jump in here real quick for Rob, if you can remember when Michael Cohen was basically testifying in front of Congress, and Clay Higgins was the guy that got up and said, this guy has no integrity, so how can we listen? I wonder how many people Clay Higgins sent to prison because of people who were informants that turned state's evidence. That guy's a double standard. He's an oxygen thief.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Devin, what about your district? I know, what's happening with voter suppression down there, and what kind of actions is your campaign taking to make sure that you're empowering people to get their vote out?
So it's different up here in Northeast Georgia. And here's why. You can go back decades and you will never find anyone who looks like me that has ever run, much less been a representative up here. This district is 86% white, and the lack of problems at the polling places proves that. It shows that. We had no issues up here, whereas, an hour south, a half hour south in Forsyth County and in Atlanta, they had major issues, high population of Black and other minorities, and they had all kinds of issues. Up here, not so much.
Well, that's good news, right?
It is good news for us in this area, yeah.
Anyway, for white people in that district, it's good news. They don't have to wait in line to vote. Richard, were you going to hop in and say something?
Yeah, yes, I was. I want to also state that there's one of our candidates that is having some technical difficulties. Her name is Lindsay Simmons, and she's running in Missouri's 4th. She is actually a Harvard law grad. I will tell you that's one of the great things. When I first come on with the No Dem Left Behind, I was so impressed with our candidates all across. I mean, like I said, we got professional boxers. We've got people that are absolute scrappy, that are not scared of a fight. And I tell you, this is just amazing. And I just want to make sure we mention Lindsay. Her husband is deployed. He's stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and he's deployed over obviously for the global war on terror. So you just want to make sure that we gave her some love as well. So everyone.
Thank you, Richard. I don't know if you can hear me. You sure can't see me. I'm literally standing in a cornfield. I shit you not. Thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate them. You're amazing, as is Chelsea. Thank you.
Airborne. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Chelsea? We have her for another 6 minutes. Let's.
6 minutes. We got to do a speed round. No, I'd rather focus on the candidates. Who cares about me?
There we go. There we go. Hey, it's on you. You got it.
All right. Tell us how you plan on dealing with these Republican assholes when you get to Congress.
That's a good one. I'll start with that one. As I said, I used to work in construction and drilling, so Republican assholes are my way of life. They're pretty easy to deal with once you speak the language. And I think Richard makes a lot of it clear. It's not necessarily physicality, but there is a willingness to fight. And if you're willing to stand up, and yes, I'm a Democrat, and stand up for that, you can do a lot of negotiating just from a show of strength. You can negotiate better from a position of strength than from weakness. So it would be good to be in the majority, which is one of the things we're telling our people down here. You keep electing Republican congressmen in a Democrat-controlled House, our district gets nothing except for a poser. And Richard pointed out the Michael Cohen hearings when he went up and where them boxes at, boy? And that's, you know, he looked like a crazy man. And I'm sorry, but all of Louisiana 3rd is not like that. Some of us are sane, some of us are decent, some of us are worried about coastal erosion, some of us are worried about health care. And so I think Republican, Democrat fighting is not what we're running on, but you know, I'm here for it. I'll go to the mat.
If I could jump in also, that is something that every single one of our candidates should be speaking about. You know, winning and going to Washington, D.C., when you are in the majority, remember, the majority gets the things done. They get the money. They get to talk about the purse strings. When you are in the minority, you don't. And that is crucial. And every single person for No Dem Left Behind should be almost leading with that very point.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, when it comes to dealing with Republicans in Congress, we had a saying in the Army: show them what right looks like. And that's exactly what I plan to do. I plan to go up there and show them what, you know, this next cycle, President Trump is not going to be there. And hopefully most of these Republicans won't be there either. But for the ones that are still going to be there after showing their cowardice, we're going to have to work with them. We're going to have to work with them and for the good of the country. And so I'm going to show them what right looks like. I'm going to show them what it means to actually compromise, what it means to actually put others before yourself. And that's got to be the plan for all of us. And here in Georgia, my plan is not only to get out the vote for myself. We already have the House. All we have to do is keep it, right? But we don't have the Senate yet. We have to take the Senate. And so every vote that I can get out for people who look like me, that have been told for generations not to vote because it doesn't do any good, not to vote because it's not, because your vote doesn't matter. I can show them that, hey, it does matter. And not only should you vote, but you could actually run. It's okay. I was told as a kid, don't run. I didn't realize until like 15 years ago that I could actually do something like this. And so, institutional racism is real. And so I say all that to say, we are getting out the vote here in Georgia, not only for my campaign, but for John Ossoff, for Reverend Warnock, so that we can take these seats. Georgia has not been a battleground state in a very long time. We are very close to being one now, and helping those two to take the 2 Senate seats that we have here would be major.
I want to take this time real quick, Chelsea. We are so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to come here and hang out.
We're in a pandemic, so you don't have to thank me. It's a pleasure.
Hey, we love you. I'm serious. You're awesome. I want to give you the last minute. If you want to say anything, you take us out.
I would just like to say thank you for endeavoring to run for Congress. Thank you for caring about your communities. And thanks for sharing your visions for the future and how you're going to move forward in success. And I would like to say, as a single white woman of a lot of privilege, I was very encouraged with what happened during the 2018 midterms. And I am very encouraged by what is going to happen in November of 2020. So I really just want to urge everybody to really make the extra effort to spend time on these forums and getting to know candidates in your state and finding out people who are running for city council and all the way down ballot, and really starting to understand that change comes on a local level. And that's something that we've really been shown during this pandemic. Also, some states are getting it wrong and some are getting it right. So it matters on every level. And I think now we're getting a better vision of that. So I would just encourage everybody to really put extra time forward towards this every day that you can until we have this election, because it's the most important election in our lifetime, even though they say that every 4 years.
This time it's true.
Thank you very much. This has been a phenomenal town hall. We appreciate you for your time. Leah, you can, I guess we've come to the end, and thank you. We are just forever grateful for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and peace and love to Chewy.
Oh yeah, thank you. Bye guys. Take
All right,
care.
take care.
Everyone.